Hello, wonderful people. Okay, we are on video 2 for chapter 12, and now we are going to be discussing the types of taxes that we have. There are 3 types of taxes: progressive taxes, regressive taxes, and proportional taxes. Let's touch on proportional taxes for a minute. Proportional taxes are flat taxes. So you see how this, it shows you that everybody is paying the same rate. Another way of seeing it is this, and when you have a curve that has 45-degree angle, you know that the growth is steady, or it's exactly the same, and it's the same over and over and over, right? So these are proportional, it's the same. If I pay 2%, you pay 2%, everybody pays 2%, it does not matter what level income we have. Typically, the bulk of taxes are going to fall in the category of progressive or regressive. What are progressive taxes? Look at this one. The higher the income, and you can see lowest, second, middle, fourth, right? The higher the income, the higher the rate of taxation. A progressive tax is one in which upper income families pay a larger share of their incomes in taxes than do those with lower incomes. So what we're looking at here is simply the higher the income, the higher the percent in taxes that people are going to pay, not just in dollars. Now, regressive taxes are the complete opposite, right? So progressive taxes are ability to pay. Regressive taxes, well, it depends. Regressive taxes can be a type of income tax, like Social Security, for instance, because Social Security is capped. So it's every year it's a little bit of a different value, but it's capped. If you make $1 million and you're expected to pay on about $180,000 in income, let's say, you're only paying on 18% of your income. If your income is $100,000, you're paying on 100% of your income. Therefore, it becomes regressive. So what this is showing you is it's a disadvantage to lower income families. A regressive tax requires the poor and middle income to pay a larger share of their incomes in taxes than the rich. So regressive taxes are obviously going to be more controversial. So let's look at this progressive up here a little bit. John pays more than Mary because John's income is $2 million and hers is $300,000. Mary pays more than Harry because her income is $300,000, his is $60,000. Harry makes more than Maggie because he is $60,000 and she's just $15,000. That is ability to pay. Regressive taxes, not so much the key. Regressive taxes tend to be taxes that kind of like the Social Security taxes, for instance, but they can also be anytime they are imposed on a per unit tax. A lot of taxes are per unit taxes. So let's go to that one and look at it together. So per unit taxes are definitely regressive. So just a little bit to kind of a reminder. Progressive taxes, the higher the income, the higher the average tax rate. Example, U.S. federal income tax. Because it's structured with multiple tiers, and the higher the income, the greater the percentage. Regressive taxes, the higher the income, the lower the average tax rate. And the examples here are, for instance, a toll, where it's possible that it is going to be taxing more on people, because it is. You're using a bigger percentage out of your income for the same fee. Same thing with gasoline tax. We're all supposed to pay so much per gallon, but paying so much per gallon means a bigger percentage for people of lower income and a higher percentage of people with higher income. Proportional tax. Regardless of income, everybody pays the same, like flat income tax, like corporate taxes, which is why sometimes people make the argument that corporate taxes should be progressive. I'm not telling you that's right. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm telling you there are arguments around it. Now here's that excise tax that I want to talk about a little bit. Excise tax is a per unit tax. When you're paying a per unit tax, then everybody, regardless of their income, pays the same. So for instance, 50 cents per gallon on gasoline, right? You can't go into the gas station and say, hey, I'm only making $35,000 and see that guy over there with that Corvette is making $400,000. Therefore, he should pay 50 cents and I should pay only 5. It doesn't work like that. It's the government imposes it on a per unit basis, but that is always going to be regressive. So here's an example to show you what regressive is. So let's take, for instance, in real estate in a town where every house has to pay a certain amount per year. So sometimes it is pick up the trash flat fee. Sometimes it is a flat fee to maintain the road. Sometimes it is a flat fee for the fire department. There's every house. So whether your house is $200,000 in value or $2 million in value, every house is spending $1,000. Clearly, $1,000 is a much smaller percentage from the $2 million homes family or to them than the $200,000 home. Because if you're choosing to live in a $200,000 home, most likely your income limits you to that value of the house. So your income is lower and the value of your house is lower, but you are responsible for the same $1,000. It is not in any way tied to the value of the house or the income of the people who live in that house. And that actually makes it regressive. So a lot of times in town, when we're saying we're all paying the same fees, that is regressive. Anytime there is, it's a unit, it's imposed on a per car, not the price of the car, but the fact that you have a car, per pet, not the how big the pet is or how expensive, just per pet. So whether you have a stray cat or whether you have an exotic cat, either way you're paying the same. So those become actually regressive. One last thing we need to discuss, and that is there are political consequences to an economy, and those consequences impact the economy. So I'd like to talk about a couple of points when it comes to government. And people sometimes say, like, why aren't things run better? Why doesn't the city or the federal government do more for me? Well, here are some reasons why we might not have a political system that we're in love with. One, I want to go over rational ignorance. Rational ignorance is when we rationalize to ourselves why it's okay to be ignorant. So I pulled this up because it's a little bit funny, but it's we can't really afford to do that. It says, my desire to be well informed is currently at odds with my desire to remain sane. We've certainly had several years where some of us felt like, oh my God, paying so much attention to the news is just giving me an ulcer. It's keeping me up at night and I can't stand it anymore. But rational ignorance goes beyond that. It goes to things like, I don't want to spend money on subscribing to the New York Times, for instance, because, I want to spend that money subscribing to Netflix because Netflix is fun. And the New York Times is just like information. And my head hurts when I read about information. Unfortunately, that means that you're not in the loop. So you're electing a representative who may not be representing your views at all. And you're not aware because you decided, I don't want to pay a subscription so I can read what's happening with this representative. It's just one example. We rationalize things like, I don't want to keep a look at the record for the politician I'm planning to to vote for. I'll just look at the headlines because I don't have time. Between my family and my work, I don't have time. We keep rationalizing. I don't have time. I don't have enough money. I have a headache. I'm tired. We rationalize and therefore we remain ignorant. And because we're ignorant, we take advantage. We get taken advantage of. So that is one concept to keep in mind. Another concept behind why political consequences end up being negative is special interest groups. Now, I'm not telling you every special interest group is a bad group. I mean, look, you can call the oil companies a special interest group. You can call the environmental activists a special interest group. Obviously, they're on opposing sides. But special interest groups are a small percentage of the population who are driving the bigger agendas. This is why they're called special interest groups. Now, log rolling is how they get it done. First of all, let's talk a little bit about why do interest groups form. They form because there's a group of people that share an interest. They want to influence the government in order to spend taxpayers' money in particular ways. They want social and economic changes, right? So things like revolutionary wars, industrialism, changes in agriculture, all of those things are going to create groups that push the economy in one direction or another. Technological changes, obviously, going from, horse and carriage to horseless carriages to cars to shuttles, big differences. Now, all those things are going to drive the interest of the future. Now, what is log rolling? Log rolling is considered unethical behavior by special interest groups. There's this old adage joke where a guy goes to convince a politician to vote a certain way, and the politician says, thank you for your interest, but I have already been bought by someone else. My vote was bought. So log rolling is specifically one politician negotiates with another politician in this way. If you vote on my bill, I will vote on your bill. And so what we're doing is, even though my bill might not benefit your constituents, and your bill might not benefit my constituents. It doesn't matter. We're going to exchange the votes because I want to pass this bill and say, look what I have done, and you want to pass your bill and say, look what you've done. So this kind of one hand washes the other, one is quid pro quo. That is the kind of, that's considered unethical, because what you're supposed to do as a politician is vote exclusively for the best interest of your constituents, the people who actually got you out there, and what is in the best interest of the oath that you took to uphold the Constitution of the federal government and of your state. That is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to try and look good so you can win another election by actually voting on things that harm the very people who put you in that seat. Okay, guys. Thank you for spending this time with me. I always enjoy you. This is the last video for this chapter. It is only 2 videos this time. You have a great one, and I'll see you in our last chapter.